Hey, this is Daniel Norton. I'm here in my studio in New York City with Farah.
Hey.
And today we're going to make some dramatic portraits. We're going to shoot low key. So a lot of times when people say low key, they immediately think black background, which is probably the most common way to do a low key shot. But remember, low key really means high contrast. So you can do it just about anywhere as long as you can set your contrast level very high. So in this case, we're going to use flash to basically expose Farah much brighter than the room, thus making the room dark, thus adding contrast. So even though we have a white background, as we can see here, and you can see that I've got my Nikon set up here, and if I take a shot with the current settings, right, f11, 200th of a second, 100 ISO, we're going to get a black frame. Now, if I turn the live view on so you can kind of see what the exposure would be in the room, so you can see to focus and stuff, we can actually go here, and we can see basically that, well, there, out of focus, but there you go. It's very flat lighting in here. I could shoot like this, of course, if I just crank the ISO or whatever, but really what we want to do is create a dramatic shot, not kind of a plain old white background shot. So in order to do that, we're going to use a controlled light source. We're going to use a softbox because it's a portrait, and we want to make it nice and soft, but at the same time, we want control. So I'm using a strip bank, right? I'm using a Profoto 1x3 strip bank. You can see it back there. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it so that the light is kind of going across her. We're going to shoot kind of a profile. And we're going to make sure that none of that light hits the background. Because if no light hits the background, then we get a shot like I did with no flash, right? Basically a black frame. I am in a white space. Light's going to bounce around a little bit. So it might be dark gray, but it'll be pretty dark. So let's take a peek and see what it looks like. So again, I have one over here. This is a 1x3 Profoto softbox. And basically it's maybe almost a half a foot behind her as far as physically. And then it's pointed almost just past the camera. So it's kind of pointed like this way, right? And the light's going to skirt out of this and come out and wrap around Farah. So this is in my A group. When I turn it on, I'm going to turn off. I have another light over there too, but I'm going to turn that off for now. I'm in TTL, so through the lens metering. I'm going to let the camera pick. And you can look right at me. Let's just do a shot like that first. This is not going to be good, right? Yeah, it's not really lit for this, right? You got to think about this when you're lighting somebody, right? This isn't how we want to do it. This is basically the wrong direction. We want her towards the lights. We want to showcase the shape of her face. So we're going to have you looking more like this. Yep, there you go. Maybe a little bit less with the shoulders. Face more like this, maybe a little more with the shoulders. Right there, perfect. Yeah, here we go. Let's go for the start. Here we go. That'll get us started. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful, right? Now we've got beautiful, sharp image. You can see her eye, you can see the shape of her face, her nose, her lips. You get that little hint of red down there from her shirt. It's very dramatic and very interesting, right? In the background is a dark, almost charcoal, if not black. It's not quite black. We can see that it's got a little light on it. And that's nice. You could actually play around with this a lot. Actually, let's do a little bit more of a profile. Just keep going so you're almost completely looking sideways. There we go. Turn your shoulders back towards me though. Yeah, and then just your head that way. Okay. Just your head, more.
Just my head.
Yep. Good. Let's just see what that looks like if we go full profile. Yeah, see, the further over she goes, the more we'll kind of get light on this side of her. So you can play around to see what you like the most. I kind of like that first one, 3/4 one. So like this. We're going to do that, and then I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to add a second light to kind of add some more interest. This is fine, right? It's not terrible. It's kind of an interesting shot, but it's always good to add an extra light to give some complete shape and form. This is in my B group, so I can control it separately, and I'm going to more or less mirror it to the other one. I'm going to put it really close to her, right? Close to her so that we have a lot of fall off, right? Because I don't want a lot of light reaching the background. And I'm going to basically cross it in front, and in theory, actually look towards this one. See, we didn't rehearse that. We never rehearse these things. And see, from this side, it's basically the same, right? So if we have her look this way, this is actually very useful if you have people that, actually what's kind of cool about this is, the other one has that red, and that side of your face, and this one has that blue. So that's actually kind of interesting in and of itself, right? So there you go. Interesting. We're going to actually do those combine the lights. So let's look towards, because I like that, the corner with the red. Yeah, so I like you that direction. And then we'll bring your chin out and up like that. And again, I'm just using TTL now, guys. And we can see that actually TTL is giving us a really nice exposure. Again, we're getting this very charcoaly dark background. It's not completely black because we're in a white studio, lights bouncing around. But I mean, considering that we're starting with a white background, this is pretty dark. And it's got a lot of mood, and we can actually see beautiful cheekbone and shape. I think what I'm gonna actually do though is, I wanna get a little bit less of that side of her face. And the way I'm gonna do that, I'm just gonna feather this off a bit. This way. I'm gonna have you do the same as you did. And I'm also gonna turn this one down a tiny bit. I am in TTL, so I'm just gonna tell it, hey man, yeah, same one, yeah. Good. So I turned it down and I also feathered it off. So we got like a more of a gradient here. See, in the first one, it was a little bit too abrupt of a transition. Here we have a softer transition, beautiful light on that side of her face. Nice and kind of moody, but not over the top. So let's try a few like that. So give like a 3/4 with your shoulders. There we go. Come back a little bit so I can see the red. Right there, stop. And then bring your face. And we'll just try a few. Good. Oop. I'm gonna blink there. Yeah.
I am a blinker.
I know. Well, don't look at me though, you gotta look out here. See, one of the things with this kind of shot, guys, is that you gotta be wary of where their pupil is and where their eye's looking, because you wanna get that beautiful catch light, which you won't get if, I don't think I shot anything like that, but if you were looking towards me, yeah, see, when they're looking towards, all of the highlight ends up in the white of her eye, so we don't really see it. So here you get that beautiful, it makes it really pop out.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Nice.
and that's really nice, right? See that? Easy as that, right? White studio, white floors, white wall, flash, middle of the day, it's pretty bright in here. And we're able to get a really good contrasty, dark, low-key shot because it's all about the contrast, right? The light is closer to her, it's powerful, it's making her bright, relatively speaking, compared to the environment. The environment drops down dark, we have a high contrast shot, that's a low-key shot. So I'm gonna put Farah's information in the description so you guys can follow her. Be sure to follow me, Daniel Norton Photographer, and subscribe to Adorama TV. Ring the bell so you get all the notifications, and I'll see you next time on set.